For many years, wildfires have remained a recurring environmental challenge in several regions of China, particularly in provinces with vast forest areas and complex mountainous terrain. One of the most heavily affected places is Yunnan province. Located in the southwest of the country, Yunnan is renowned for its rich biodiversity and expansive forests. Yet these very treasures also make the province highly vulnerable to the threat of wildfires. Highland plateaus, dry seasonal winds, and coniferous ecosystems create conditions where fires can ignite and spread rapidly if not strictly controlled. Forests in Yunnan not only regulate water resources, preserve soils, and safeguard biodiversity, but also act as vital carbon sinks, helping to mitigate climate change. At the same time, they provide livelihoods for millions of people who depend on forestry, agriculture, and tourism. However, resinous trees such as pine and fir are extremely flammable during the dry season. When droughts last for weeks, vegetation dries out and becomes a massive fuel source for fire. While lightning can spark wildfires, in reality most incidents are caused by human activity. In rural areas, traditional slash-and-burn farming practices, post-harvest burning, or the clearing of weeds by fire are still common. Just a single ember out of control can grow into a large blaze within hours. Outdoor cooking, cultural practices, or even a carelessly discarded cigarette can also trigger disaster. As urban expansion pushes closer to forest areas and tourism grows in mountainous regions, the risks of human-caused fires rise dramatically. The consequences are devastating. Large swaths of forest are reduced to ash, while habitats for rare and endangered species are destroyed. Yunnan, recognized as one of China's biodiversity hotspots, faces ecological fragmentation, leaving wildlife without food or shelter. After a fire, soil loses its protective cover, making it highly vulnerable to erosion and landslides. Heavy rains can wash loose soil and debris into rivers, polluting waters relied upon by millions for drinking, farming, and hydropower. Beyond the environment, wildfires directly threaten human lives. Villages near forest zones are often forced into emergency evacuations. Crops and farmland are burned. Roads and power lines are damaged. Smoke can travel tens or even hundreds of kilometers, worsening air quality and causing respiratory problems for millions. Tourism, a key economic sector in Yunnan, also suffers when natural landscapes are destroyed and safety is compromised. To address these threats, Yunnan's authorities have strengthened prevention, monitoring, and response measures. Community education programs raise awareness among residents living near forests. Villages are equipped with basic firefighting tools and given regular training. Professional firefighting brigades operate at both local and provincial levels. Modern technologies, including satellites, drones, and remote sensors, are used to detect fires early, even in remote mountain areas. Upgraded communication systems ensure that warnings reach at-risk communities quickly. However, no matter how thorough prevention may be, wildfires cannot be eliminated entirely. When one breaks out, rapid response is crucial. Yet the rugged mountains often make it extremely difficult for crews to reach the fire. Helicopters and planes are sometimes deployed to drop water or fire retardants, but terrain and weather limit their effectiveness. As a result, wildfire control usually requires close cooperation between professionals, forestry workers, and local residents. Together, they cut fire breaks, use controlled burns, and carefully track wind patterns to contain the blaze. Looking ahead, wildfire management in Yunnan must balance conservation rural development, and the escalating pressures of climate change. Longer, harsher dry seasons have already increased the risks of fire. At the same time, Yunnan's forests remain critical for carbon storage and biodiversity preservation, not only nationally but globally. Protecting forests, therefore, is not only about preserving natural beauty, but also about protecting people, culture, and social stability. To achieve this, stricter enforcement of fire use regulations is needed, along with stronger community awareness and a combination of modern technology and traditional practices. Only then can Yunnan build a sustainable, resilient forest system capable of withstanding the challenges of time and a changing climate. Wildfires will undoubtedly remain a recurring threat in Yunnan. Yet with the right investments in prevention, rapid response, and ecological restoration, their impact can be reduced, helping safeguard the environment and the future of generations to come. Thank you for following this report. If you found this information useful, please share it, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to stay updated with the latest stories on nature and global environmental challenges. Your support and engagement help raise awareness, and together, we can all play a part in protecting our planet. TPO, the city of Shanghai, China, has evacuated more than 280,000 residents ahead of Typhoon Komai's landfall. At the same time, China's coastline faced a potential tsunami threat triggered by a powerful offshore earthquake in Russia's Far East, about 4,000 kilometers away from Shanghai. Typhoon Komai made landfall in the port city of Zhoushan, Zhejiang Province, early on July 30th, continuing to sweep through eastern China. Shortly after, China's coastal regions were put on tsunami alert following a strong earthquake that struck off the coast of Russia's Far East. Although Typhoon Komai's wind speeds were not extremely strong, Shanghai and other cities in the Yangtze River Delta took no chances. At least 640 flights were expected to be canceled at Shanghai's two main airports on July 30th. All ferry services in the city were suspended. Drivers were instructed to keep their speed under 60 km/h on highways. Shanghai's Disneyland and Legoland parks remained open. However, several rides and shows at Legoland were canceled due to adverse weather conditions. Numerous flights at airports in Ningbo, Wenzhou, and Hangzhou were either canceled or rerouted. Some train services in the region were temporarily suspended, while others operated at reduced speeds. Shanghai rarely experiences the direct impact of powerful typhoons. However, Typhoon Koumei struck China at the same time that Russia was hit by a massive offshore earthquake measuring 8.8 magnitude near Kamchatka, about 4,000 kilometers from Shanghai. The National Marine Environmental Forecasting Center of China stated that the tsunami is expected to have a strong impact on parts of China's coastline, including Shanghai and Zhoushan. The Ministry of Natural Resources also issued a tsunami warning for these two cities, where waves up to 1 meter high could hit by early evening. Powerful winds and torrential rains brought by Typhoon Koumei have unleashed devastating floods across parts of eastern China, leaving cities and rural areas struggling to cope with the disaster. Shanghai was one of the hardest hit cities as the typhoon made landfall with immense force, unleashing relentless downpours and fierce gusts that overwhelmed local drainage systems. Streets in multiple districts were quickly submerged under rising waters, causing chaos for residents and traffic alike. Authorities responded swiftly, organizing mass evacuations from coastal zones and low-lying neighborhoods to safeguard lives. Public transportation services, including ferries, subways, and flights, were suspended for safety reasons as conditions worsened. In areas such as Pudong and Minhang, roads turned into raging rivers within just a few hours, forcing many drivers to abandon their vehicles as water levels rose unpredictably. The typhoon's powerful winds uprooted trees, damaged streetlights, and scattered debris, creating dangerous hazards throughout the city. Emergency shelters were rapidly established to house tens of thousands of residents displaced from their homes. The impact of Typhoon Koumei was not limited to Shanghai. Neighboring provinces like Zhejiang were also ravaged by widespread flooding. Swollen rivers breached their banks, triggering additional evacuations and submerging entire towns. In Guizhou province, bridges collapsed and rural roads vanished under torrents of water, isolating many communities. Schools in high-risk flood zones were swiftly evacuated, with rescue teams using boats to transport children and families to safety. First responders deployed inflatable crafts to reach neighborhoods completely cut off by floodwaters. In the outskirts of Beijing, particularly in the northern regions, flash floods disrupted access to several small towns, leaving rescue crews struggling to reach those in need. Power outages and collapsed roadways further complicated emergency operations. Major infrastructure, including bridges and highways, suffered extensive damage, with repairs expected to take weeks or longer. Emergency alerts were issued across multiple provinces, urging citizens to remain indoors, stock up on essential supplies, and avoid unnecessary travel. Media coverage captured dramatic scenes of rising waters swallowing homes, stranded families waiting for help, and rescue teams working tirelessly around the clock. In mountainous areas, landslides triggered by waterlogged soil added another layer of danger, cutting off escape routes. In Hebei province, authorities rushed to relocate entire rural communities before nightfall to minimize casualties. Experts have linked the increasing intensity and frequency of such storms to broader climate change patterns affecting the region. As floodwaters slowly recede, recovery crews are clearing massive amounts of debris, restoring power to affected areas, and working to reopen blocked roads. This channel provides independent reporting based on publicly accessible information and verified news sources. We are not affiliated with any official organization, and some video footage is illustrative to provide context for viewers.
The world changing, disasters are no longer rare, they are reality. You cannot predict the next earthquake, flood, or wildfire, but you can choose how ready you are. This channel isn't just here to inform, it's here to wake people up before it's too late. So if you're watching this now, take it as a sign. Don't just scroll, Don't just watch, subscribe, learn, and prepare, because awareness isn't fear, it's power. It doesn't send us warnings, but we can. Floods, earthquakes, wildfires, and storms are striking harder and faster than ever before. By subscribing, you are not just watching, you are joining a movement to stay alert, stay informed, and helps others to do the same. Hit the subscribe now, because the next disaster won't wait, and neither should you. Be ready and be aware.